Please note that the following views, any opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily the views nor the opinions of the Master Force Group, Free America Radio Network, our sponsors, our partners, and MFG is a private society, and nothing here is ever to be construed as medical or legal advice. And listen to the Forbidden History prime time 7 days a week right here on therealpublicradio.net, because hidden beneath the sands of time lies the greatest of all mysteries. It's the Forbidden History. Unearth for yourself the secret truths that lie hidden just beneath the surface below our feet. What is it that the powers that be do not want you or I to know? Come and journey with us as we explore and dare to know, because it's all right here, coming your way 7 days a week on therealpublicradio.net, Free America Radio Network, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, simulcast on youtube.com. Look for the Forbidden History series. That's 4 words, the Forbidden History series. And tell your friends, won't you? You did tell your friends, right? Well, go call them right now. You've got time.
Hello. Welcome to our very special Basic Reset Health website on water, hydration, and nutrient regeneration. It is not just about drinking the proper amounts of water, but we also have to have the right amount of nutrients in the water to replenish our body's daily needs. As you will soon see in the main video, after you watch this short clip about making real money online with the Master Force Group. So instead of using the hit and miss learning process, why not work with a group of experienced and professional marketers, known as the Master Force Group, an international investment and radio broadcasting company, while you then immediately go right over to the center of this page and click on the blue button and watch the video on this remarkable water and nutritional product line called Basic Reset. Now don't sign up on this promotional website, but instead, call us for your free automatic sign-up and placement under one of our group partners, who is already in our lead share program called Downline Direct. It is people helping people. You are never obligated to promote or sell anything. Call us at 608-566-7295. That's 608-566-7295. Thank you for considering the Master Force Group and Basic Reset today. Get a 20% discount on your first order the moment you sign up.
And go to the website, ladies and gentlemen, 3Ws.healthwalk.basicreset.com. That's 3Ws.healthwalk.basicreset.com. All normal spelling. Okay. And then also go to this website, 3Ws. Actually, that's a http://healthwalk.anovite, A-N-O-V-I-T-E, anovite.com. That's healthwalk.anovite, A-N-O-V-I-T-E.com, and learn about the most powerful food on earth. It starts with water, but it ends with the most powerful food on earth being colostrum, ladies and gentlemen, the best kept secret on earth. And go check it out, won't you? And while you're supporting your health, you can be supporting this radio broadcast. And thanks for doing it. Coming to you live from Studio Z at the Lighthouse in Central Ohio and Free America Radio Network in the land of dreams, enchantments, and nightmares. It's the Forbidden History series. What they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here. Starting every Sunday evening with Citizens of the American Constitution.net, Jack and Margie Flynn. And then coming up in the second hour, we've got a special read from the Archival volume, the report of Pilate to Caesar. It's a you just have to hear it, okay? Because it's a classic that's been kept secret from us. Several pages of the most intense revealing of the moment when Yeshua, the Mashiach, commonly known as Jesus the Christ, was crucified and killed, and the account of Pilate. And then also, we've got the Great Lies of History, special segment, the Piracy of Words, and a special tonight on symbols and symbolism. Confucius said, symbols rule the world, not words nor law. Think about that. And there's still time to call your friends. We're here trying to make a difference, but we can't do it without you. And if you'd like to call in, you can call in on our conference system. We're already set up there. We've got some friends on the conference line right now. Just come on down, okay? Won't you go to 712-432-8773. That's 712-432-8773. PIN number 179441#. That's 179441#. And *5 will raise your hand. If anybody's coming in late or they want to hear the replay, it's simply 712-432-8774. Same number, just the last digit advances to a 4. Same PIN number 179441#. And then it's when prompted, hit O0#. And that will bring on the replay. Okay, good, till we do the next broadcast. And otherwise, it'll always remain with the date. Today's date is 5/7/17, and so you'll be able to always access that audio using the date on the conference system. Okay, so we're also on Skype, Free America Radio, all one word. Do a Skype search for Free America Radio, still posted as Kingsland, Georgia, and we'll be glad to take your text message on Skype, or you can call in on the conference line. Love to hear from you. I'm your host, Desert Owl, bird who sees in the night. I know too much. I'm looking for that blue pill. Can't seem to find it, so we're here because of that. Red proverbial red pill, which we had to choke on a little bit to get it all down, but after we did, we figured out, okay, everything's all right. We're not crazy. They're crazy. We got a bunch of psychopaths running our world. They love us to death. They kissed our babies, then they kissed us off and decided that they'd rather commit global genocide on all mankind. Go figure, ladies and gentlemen. It's a religious, occultic ritual, fascism from the beginning of time. They got the fasci right there in the speaker's house and on both sides of the podium. They're telling you who they are. The signs and symbols rule the world, not their words nor their phony laws. But Jack and Margie Flynn, they've got the law on their side when it comes to truth, presumptive letters, and using the Constitution, being able to look them straight in the eye and play poker better than they can. But and then we've got, I'm sure they have a lot more they want to say tonight as well, so we're going to find out. Still time to call your friends. Did you call your friends? Get on the phone right now. We're here every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, trying to make a difference, and we love interaction. Okay, so we would love to take your call. Love to hear from you. Maybe there's something you know. Maybe there's something you want to share, or maybe you just have a question. That's why we're here, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so and now it's time. And go to our radio museum, therealpublicradio.net, Free America Radio Network. And welcome to the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Desert Owl, and I am still alive and kicking. I can't get over it after all the attempts they've made on me. And we have so many friends, wonderful patriotic Americans, deeply spiritually oriented as well. People of conscience have been killed on the roadside, put in prison, killed in prison. You name it, regular people, police officers, the good guys, not the bad ones, and people are waking up every day. The corporation is a shell game, and it's the grand illusion. They got you thinking it's one way when it's another way. We went. Nobody tells you that we went into bankruptcy and during the Civil War, probably starting with the Liber Code, the 100 Articles of Warfare Against Mankind, and then moving forward all the way to 1933. They built the Titanic, by the way. 1912 took down the wealthy of America who'd be in opposition to a centralized bank. They built the Titanic just like they built the Twin Towers, all with the intention of taking them down. And then the bankruptcy. After they get the wealthy out of the way, they do the Jekyll Island thing, 1913, and they write the legislative laws to take over banking, 1933 through after Roosevelt. What was that guy's name? I don't know. I can't remember these people, but they're not worth remembering, really. But he admitted he sold out his country. I remember that president after Roosevelt, and so they're playing a shell game. They're working under public policy. Unannounced martial law rule is where we are. That's unannounced martial law. In other words, just keep the shell game alive, keep the peace, and everything will be right. Pretend the law, but we're really in commerce. And we hate your guts, and we're going to suck your lifeblood out of you. And when we're done, you'll have nothing left. And So to hear more about all of this, I know we got some really wonderful experts on right now. I better bring them on and stop talking to myself here. And that's Jack and Margie Flynn. I guess you just have to unmute Margie. Jack, hello, you there?
Oh, Desert.
Am I crazy or am I saying anything that's true, correct, complete, maybe not misleading?
No, it's true, correct, complete, not misleading. And I think the guy you were trying to think of was Woodrow Wilson.
Thank you. Yeah.
Deathbed,
Yeah,
he admitted
his
that.
confession.
He wouldn't admit it before that, but on his deathbed, he did.
Okay, there you go. That's usually when most of them are willing to come forward because it burns their conscience for years, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He was a traitor in a long list of traitors, starting with the first traitor, George Washington. Adams was not a traitor, he was a man of the people. Jefferson was not a traitor, he was a man of the people. Pretty much from that point on, with the exception of John Quincy Adams, we've had nothing but traitors in that position. Even Kennedy was a traitor.
Yeah, John Quincy Adams, he was trying to expose the Masons. He wrote a book about that, I think.
That's right,
Yes, he did.
Very
He
interesting
did.
book, too.
And he was against the central banks.
Yeah.
Very few presidents have been against the central banks. Very, very few. Stonewall Jackson, well, Andrew Jackson. Stonewall's a different guy. He was against the banks in a different context. But Andrew Jackson was definitely against the bank, and his intent was to destroy the central bank created by Washington, the first central bank. And his battle was against a guy by the name of Biddle. He was a very powerful man for the Illuminati and for the Jesuits.
Yeah, I understand. He was like a banking financial expert at age 14. There's your Illuminatis for you, right?
Yeah, exactly. And of course, he was representing the Zionist element in this country. And Jackson did destroy the central bank, but he gave the power to the state banks. So there was really no difference. We've had a central bank in this country ever since 1791, without exception. People will say we haven't, we have, every single time.
Yeah.
And we have never been on a gold standard in this country, no matter what people tell you. Never. It never happened. People could take their gold to the mint and have coins minted from the gold, okay?
Mhm.
But never could take their dollars to any bank and get gold for those dollars. Now, the central bank could do that, and the major banks could do that, but people could not do that. So there was no gold standard. Look, the bottom line is this entire planetary system on all its levels, from top to bottom, in physicality and in spirituality after death, is nothing but a gigantic, total, complete fraud. All of it, from A to Z, here and on the next level as well. Now, we were created as beings, but we were given free will, and we were told we were responsible for what we created. And too many people are looking for saviors. They're looking for some bright white light from the sky, or some spiritual element,
Or aliens.
or whatever it may be. Who's going to save them? There's no one out there who's going to save the people, except the people.
I'm amazed that I've got some friends that think aliens are coming to save them. You know, it's just amazing. Even when they think they woke up, you know, they're still following the grand illusions in so many ways.
Yes, exactly.
Illusions are plentiful on this planet, okay? And illusions are plentiful after death. We have to get into reality. But very few people want to deal with reality because it's unpleasant. The truth is unpleasant. Facts are unpleasant. John Adams said that facts are stubborn things. Well, of course they are. The truth is a stubborn thing, too. Most people do not want to recognize reality. They do not want to recognize the truth. They do not want to recognize known and proven facts. They would rather live in the fantasy because the fantasy is more fun. But my God, you know, living in a perpetual fantasy is not good for anyone. It's nice for all of us to get into fantasy once in a while. We go to a party, we go to a bar room, we go to a gathering, we take in a play or a film. But after the play and after the film and after the bar room and after the party, you get back to reality. Most people want to live in perpetual fantasy forever. And that's not healthy. It's not healthy for them. It's not healthy for society. And it's certainly not healthy for the people who are trying to do the right thing. Now, Margie and I have been involved in a spiritual effort and a physical effort by and through the Constitution, or by and through applying the Constitution and teaching people how to use it, and dealing in spiritual realms as well, although we don't emphasize that. We've been teaching this for over 60 years, and we're just finished. We're fed up. We think that mankind is basically hopeless as a society, as a human species. We're hopeless. There are individuals within those societies who are not hopeless. Individuals like you and others trying to do the right thing, but Desert, there are so few of us, so absolutely few of us.
Yeah.
We don't show up in any measurement scale at all, so we're totally ineffective. And that's not good. That's not a good way to be. Now, in our constitutional work, we've been extremely effective. Thousands upon thousands of people have used our methods to win cases both in and out of court over the decades, over 6 decades. You know, I don't know what the latest figure is. We're told it's well over 10,000 cases. But if you take those cases and you measure the percentage of wins against people we've spoken to, we're talking about 1/20th of 1%. I mean, that's insane.
Oh, yeah.
That's insane. If the people are not willing to help themselves, no one is going to help them. And there are no saviors out there. Okay? Jesus even said it. You will do more than I do. You will perform better deeds than I perform. But you must be responsible. You must get involved in the effort. It's not going to happen overnight. You have to put in the work. It's like I said last week. If you want to beat out Tom Brady, the quarterback, you can't think you can beat him out. You have to know you can beat him out. And I'll tell you, no one can beat out Tom Brady. He's the best that ever stepped on the field. Okay? The same with jumping in the ring with a heavyweight champ. You can't think you can do it. If you think you can do it, you'll be knocked out in about 15 seconds. Okay? We have to know our capabilities and we have to know our limitations. And a lot of people know nothing about their limitations and they think they have gigantic capabilities. But when push comes to shove and they're faced with a reality, they quickly learn that they don't have the capabilities they thought they had. So we have to take a good, strong look at ourselves, a good, strong look at our societies, a good, strong look at our so-called leaders, all of whom virtually, well, there may be a few exceptions here and there, but frankly, I don't know of any, all of whom are consummate evil on all levels. I don't care whether it's political, governmental, law, education, religion, charity. I don't care who you're talking about. They're all frauds. They're all evil. They all represent an evil system. If anyone in the audience knows of one good, solid human being in that mix, call in and let us know, please, because I don't know of any. Do you know of any, Desert?
No, because even it seems like even the ones who are the so-called leaders that I've seen in what we call the Patriot Movement, Freedom Movement, whatever, turns out that most of them were the shills. All of the so-called heads, whether it was the head of the FBI, the former FBI chief, and I don't want to mention names, but then also the most decorated police officer in Phoenix, Arizona, and then the most decorated Green Beret, and then the politician everybody likes and wants to bow down and worship him, and he's the great white hope. Every one of them, to me, it appears, was either in the mind control program and under the mind control, or they were just a plain outright sellout and secret handshake club.
Yeah. Sadly, I think you're right, Desert. I wish it were otherwise, and I know Jack wishes it were otherwise too, but it isn't. I mean, we go back to the mentality of looking for the savior, the great white hope, the hero, the cowboy with a white hat, coming in on the steed to save the day, a gunslinger, the whole bit. And I think we have to start looking at how we have been conditioned and programmed since we were babies to think this way, to look to some hero to save us, to rescue us, to some expert to tell us how to think, to some authority figure to tell us how we can and cannot act or behave. And we have, in the process of all of this programming, we've very much lost touch with our central self, our true self, our inner self. Some people say higher self, divine self, God self, whatever you want to call it. soul, spirit, an aspect of soul. That is the focus that we should be looking to for our help, for our inspiration, and our day-to-day meanderings through life. And it's difficult to do on a planet that is like a carnival 24/7. There are so many distractions on planet Earth. And, sometimes the distraction is fun. It's enjoyable. It can even be entertaining. It can even be edifying to a point. But I think we have to realize that most of what we are exposed to is deceptive in nature, it's manipulative in nature, and it obscures the real truth. They throw a little bit of truth in with a lot of untruths, and people buy it because they feel inferior. We've kind of lost touch with the idea that the divine spark that dwells within us, that is our central core, is magnificent. It's marvelous. It's wonderful. It's beyond even what our human minds can imagine. But we have set that greatness, that magnificence of the divine spark aside, and we've deferred to all of this nonsense that's thrown at us on planet Earth, created by humans, I think at the dictates of people that perhaps are not human, that are off-planet entities, who take delight in seeing us run around like ants in an ant farm and doing their bidding, completely oblivious to the fact that we're slaves on a slave prison planet. And I think it's time for the human race, not just Americans, but the human race, to begin to question everything that they believe, everything to which they've been exposed, and recognize that unless they've had a really personal, in-depth experience of their own, a real experienced reality, that maybe a lot of what they think they know and what they believe should be set aside and re-examined, and their inner self should be consulted far more frequently to find out the truth of what it is to be a human being, what it is to be a spirit and a soul having an experience in a human body. Because I don't think most people think that way. I think most people are so caught up with surviving, paying the bills, getting a car, fixing the car, putting gas in the car, feeding the kids, whatever, that they have precious little time to think about the most important thing there is where do we come from?
Yeah.
Why are we here? And what is it about life that keeps drawing us back in time and time again?
Yeah, they're just too caught up in being a good slave. They got on the treadmill and they can't get off, basically.
Exactly. Well, they've been cultivated to be good slaves, and we get frustrated with people. And Jack will frequently say, "Well, people are so stupid; they don't even know they're stupid," and that's true. I have pity and compassion for people because I recognize that they have been conditioned to be this way. It doesn't excuse it, because there still has to be some interest in hearing the still small voice from time to time and listening to their gut, so to speak, and saying, wait a minute, that doesn't feel right. Something's off. Just because Joe Blow says this is right doesn't mean it's right for me. But we've been really pushed into a corner. People are vilified if they dare to be different. If they speak truth to power, they become an oddity. They're accused of all sorts of things. So more and more people shy away from speaking truth, regardless of what arena they're in, whether it's in academia, or it's in the medical field, or it's in government politics, or in religion. More and more people say, gee, I don't know if I want to go there. I think more people are aware on some deep level that something is very wrong, but they still haven't been moved enough yet, urged enough yet to say, you know what? If the buck stopped with me, as old Harry S. Truman used to say, I've got to be the one that sets this right for me. I can't think it for you or for anyone else, only for me, because we have to be our own answer. And I don't think the human race has been conditioned to see that the answer lies within each and every one of us, in our heart, our minds, our souls, and our spirits.
I hear you, Marty. Yeah, it's a tough world to get through, but the good news is it doesn't end. We're just on this planet for a moment. It's interesting, the word exist is very connected to the word exit. You look at it,
Yes.
right? As soon as you come into the world, you exist. But yeah, there is life. Death is the illusion, and there's another place to go. But in the meantime, we've got to learn how to deal with the enigmas that we face. We're here. The whole purpose of life is to come to true awareness of our true nature, our etheric being on a higher order. As soon as I said etheric, I thought of the book Morals and Dogma, because there's a people are like the way they've conditioned us. We tend to use the words that they've conditioned us with, and one of them would be morals. But even John Bunyan, who wrote the book Pilgrim's Progress, he said that one of the wrong trails in his story, that somebody went down one day, the guy who was called Worthless or something like that, he went down the road of morals. And so, look at the word. It says, moral says, I want more and I want it all. And so doesn't that sound like the controllers? They want more and they want it. That's moral. So Albert Pike, the Grand Poobah of Freemasonry, late 1800s, who wrote the book Morals and Dogma, he he um, he predicted the three world wars, and then said in the end they would use Islam to destroy all of Christianity. And so they want more, they want it all, and when they're done with it, they don't need us anymore. They just needed our labor for a short time, and now they're through with us, and they're cashing in their chips. And so they perfected modern day slavery with the birth certificate, commercialized it, put it in the Department of Commerce, Washington D.C., all capital letters. And then when they bond you in at the jail, they put it on Wall Street, where they used to sell slaves, the bodies of slaves, right on the wall at Wall Street. Rather interesting, isn't it?
Yes, it is interesting. And they certainly have bonded us out. But, looking at all of the things that they've done that you enumerated very well in that ad, that's still on what I would call the rough outer level. We haven't even begun to examine how Machiavellian their control is becoming through technology and artificial intelligence. Okay, that's a whole other ballgame. And people have probably seen some of the Star Trek episodes of the Borg, the hive mind type of thing. That is exactly where these chronons want to go. And they don't need a whole bunch of us. They don't need 7 billion people to feed them at that level. So, they're interested in war mongering, war making, bloodshed, etc. It's not going to just up and go away, no matter all of the nice stories and platitudes that they feed us every single day. They're not interested in that, because they get a rush out of suffering and bloodshed, and they certainly are feeding off of us energetically. They're draining us dry. So as human beings, one of the best things I think we can do to sort of starve them out is not to give them our attention, and not to get angry or upset or frightened or sad or depressed about what's going on. And I know that probably sounds counterintuitive, coming from somebody who's been kind of a warrior her whole life.
Or emotionally distraught.
Yes, all of the above.
Yeah.
But think about it. If it's true, and I believe that it is, and I have for a long time, that these off-planet entities who are using the so-called leaders, who are nothing but scumbags on our planet, who are motivated by greed for money, power, influence, and control. If you look at the premise that the off-planet beings and whatever parasites are sucking off of them are using our energies to stay alive, because they're so far from the source, they're so cut themselves off from source energy that they need us as like batteries to keep them going. But the way they feed well off of us is if we're angry, sad, emotionally upset, depressed, all of what we would think of the negative, lesser, or more destructive emotions. So if we become intelligent enough to say, wait a minute, I don't want to be a willing victim for these creeps. I certainly don't want to willingly give them anything. And by my ranting and raving and being upset about this or that, if I can understand that that's actually feeding them, then it's in my best interest and against their interest for me to stop doing that and to concentrate on the most powerfully positive things that I can and the most creative endeavors that I can engage in, whether it's putting matchsticks together to make a star, doodling on my notebook, taking a walk and watching the sunrise or the sunset, whatever brings my spirit up, what lifts my soul and makes my heart soar, that works against the darkness that is overcoming and running our planet. And that's the best and highest thing that I think we can do as individuals. And that doesn't mean that we have to ignore wrongdoing. It doesn't mean that we have to give up and say, go ahead, wreck us, I don't care. No, but it's our attitude that we take into it. If we understand that our upset is exactly what they want, and we learn to turn that around and actually take joy in living our life, even if we're having a battle royale with some kind of political situation or a personal situation or whatever. It's the attitude that we bring into it, the emotions that we allow to run through and run our bodies that can either help us and hurt them or hurt us and help them. So I'd like people to think about that, to start thinking about what they think. And this is something that I used to do with my Reiki clients. When people would come for spiritual healing, energetic healing, they would say, well, I have this ache and pain, I have that, I have migraines or whatever, but virtually every time it is a spiritual and a psychological reason or association that accompanies a physical ailment.
Mm-hmm.
So often I would ask them to think about what they think. And they would invariably say, I'm a very positive person. I'm very upbeat, and they would go on about their life and what have you. And I said, okay, let's try a little exercise for 1 week until I see you next. I'd like you to get a little notebook and keep a journal of what goes through your mind, the kinds of thoughts, when you're walking, cooking, driving the car, think about it. And when you get stopped, write it down. I said, oh, sure, that'll be great. Well, a week would transpire and the client would come in for the next session. And I'd say, did you take your notebook? Oh, yeah, I did. I said, what did you learn? And they would, to a person, be shocked at how many negative, dark, angry, sad, emotionally upset, disturbed thoughts, fearful thoughts were running through their head like on a tape reel over and over and over again. And they were staggered by this. They were stunned because all of them saw themselves as positive and spiritual based beings. So I think we need to challenge ourselves and start thinking about what we think, how often these thoughts run through our head and say, are these my thoughts? Is somebody putting them in my head? Or am I so conditioned that I'm like a knee-jerk reactor to the first little thing that upsets me for the day, and it sets the tone? So anybody that's listening out there, take a moment to think about what you think about every day. And
Right.
ask yourself if you're helping yourself or if you're feeding the psychic vampires that have been living off us for eons.
Right. And I just want to add, if you have a comment or a question for the people on our conference line, *5 will raise your hand, and love to take your call. If you just want to say hello to Jack and Margie, give us an audio check, or you have a comment or a question. Okay, love to hear from you. And interesting, I didn't know that part about you, Margie. You're learning a little bit here tonight. But in the ancient time, when somebody was ill, the first thing the doctor, the sage, whoever it was that was taking care of the patient, the first thing they would typically ask him in ancient time was, "Have you done anything to offend the gods?" And
Yes.
and after they found out that that didn't happen, then they look at the biology and everything. But that was the first thing, dealing with conscience and cause and effect.
Yes, the old kahunas in Hawaii, the first thing I would ask a patient is, who have you harmed?
Aha, there you go.
Yes.
Well, that
We're
would
speaking-
include that. Go ahead, Jack. Go ahead.
We're speaking basically on two levels here, the physical level and the spiritual level. There are two distinct and different levels, obviously, but they have direct interrelationship with each other. One of the problems with the physical level is that people, by and large, do not take responsibility for much of anything except for two possibilities. One is in the home area with family, wife, children. Another is with the job, and that's about it. If you take the average fellow out of his home and out of his job, he really has no idea as to what's going on in the world and cares less because he's not responsible. If the American people were responsible, Is anyone out there with even a smattering of common sense and any smattering of even small intelligence believe that we would be in the problems we're in now? Of course not. If we had a responsible nation from the very beginning, a truly responsible, supportive nation, supportive of goodness, supportive of the right way and the right thing to do, supportive of the Constitution, supportive of right action by government, supportive of the tens of thousands of inventions that have been killed by this sinister, evil government, we would be probably minimally another 2,000 or 3,000 years more advanced since 1776. Now that seems incredible, but it would not be incredible if we had been responsible people from the very beginning. There are responsible people in society. You know some, I know some. But in terms of the general society, the responsibility level is about zero, or damn close to it. Okay?
Mhm.
We are ruled by evil, both here and in spirit. We're ruled by evil. And Margie and I want to get into the spiritual level in just a moment. And she has a lot to say about that, and so do I. I also have a spiritual side to it, but for years I've been trying to focus upon the physical element in which we exist. Because if we're not responsible here, we're going to feel miserably in spirit and come back here all over again. Okay?
Yeah. Mhm.
And it's not for the reasons that most people think. We'll get into that in a little bit. But we support evil. We support our evil government. We support the evil UN. We support the evil bankers. We support the evil police, the evil military, the evil systems, the media, the academic community, the leaders of society. They're all frauds. Like I said, if anyone knows any true humanitarian leader in existence, let me know. A lot of people spoke about Mandela. My God, he was one of the worst savages that ever existed on the face of this earth.
Yeah.
You know, black people can be savages too. They're not all whites. Yellow people can be savages too. Not all whites.
Mhm.
Humans are savage beings. Let's face
Yeah.
it. Okay.
I-
It's not limited to the white race. It goes right across the board.
Yeah.
I mean, how many millions of people did Chairman Mao kill? And Chow En-lai, a true intellectual. How many people did he kill? Okay?
Yeah.
Millions. The last count is probably well over 45 million.
Yeah.
Most of his own people.
Now, do you know that there's two that come to mind, Jack? I want to run it by real quick and you comment on it. But number one, if there's one YouTube that was out there that was an amazing documentary, about an hour and a half long at least, and it was about Ho Chi Minh. And Ho Chi Minh was groomed. You know, he went to France, studied in the schools. He went to Russia, and so when Ho Chi Minh came back to Vietnam, he was elected for all of Vietnam to be a leader, and he embraced the American Constitution. He gave them the same rights that we all had in America, supposedly, and then he wrote letters to Washington. They ignored him, they demonized him, they betrayed him, and they made him into the boogeyman and the enemy. But I think that Ho Chi Minh may have been one legitimate leader, and the other one that comes to mind is possibly Gaddafi, because I heard his life story, and he didn't hoard the wealth. He gave it to all the people. Everybody that got married got a home. And he said, before my mom and dad come out of a tent, everyone will have a home. This guy was amazing. And he wrote the history of Libya. So these are two that come to mind you may want to comment on.
Yes, I was speaking of living leaders. Both of those guys are dead. I knew Gaddafi. Gaddafi was a saint. He was an absolute saint. He was loved by his own people. He shared the wealth. He shared everything, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
People loved him.
He loved his people.
And he loved his people. And he was trying to do the right
And
thing.
he gave women rights. He protected the women that were being abused in all other Islamic countries.
Of
Yes.
course he did. And there were many, many Christians in his country, okay, that he openly and willingly supported. He was a very progressive guy in the true word and
Yes,
meaning
that's
of
it.
progressivism. not the communist word.
Oh, yeah.
And mean that is embodied within the demon or we call them the Democrat Party. We don't even call them Democrats. They're Democrats.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, Gaddafi was an absolute saint. But remember, this country is the most evil nation that ever existed upon the face of the earth. There is no country that has ever existed that is more diabolically evil and sinister and deceitful at all levels than the United States of America. Hitler was a saint compared to our leaders, okay? Russia, Lenin, bad news. All of those guys, bad news, but saints compared to our leaders, okay? Our leaders are the most evil of the evil because they pretend they're good and they're supported by the American people over and over and over again. Now, you've heard me say for years, this is a mantra of mine from the very beginning. I woke up saying it, that communism is the strongest force on this world, okay? And it has been since the beginning. It's been known by other names, but the essential practice has been around forever. Communism is the strongest force in this world, and America is the biggest, largest communist nation on the face of the earth that has created and openly supported every communist nation in existence, okay?
Yeah.
Now, go to Ho Chi Minh. You're absolutely correct about Ho. He was an egalitarian type guy. He believed in our Constitution. He believed in a constitutional republic. He believed in all those things that Adams and Jefferson spoke about years ago. But that didn't suit the communist nature of this country. We had to make Vietnam into a communist nation and then fight the communist nation so we would have more control and more money and more nonsense and more propaganda piled upon the people. And then when we could have beaten communism, we withdrew and allowed the whole country to be communistic. Is there one nation on the face of this earth that was not directly created by a communist nation that was not directly created by the United States? No, is the answer. All of them were. If you look at the Yalta Conference, that traitor Roosevelt gave all those people to lovely Uncle Joe of Russia, okay? You have to remember.
For a listener, Joseph Stalin, go ahead.
In the history of this world, there's been only one man who openly and aggressively fought Zionism and communism, and that was Hitler. Only one man. And look how they crucified him. I'm not saying Hitler was a saint. There are no saints at that level, okay? But the lies told about him are monumental. His mission was to kill communism and kill Zionism. And he almost succeeded. But when he started getting really successful, that's when they took him out. That's when they tried to assassinate him twice. I mean, my God, 2 bombs right by the guy, right? And he didn't die, he wasn't even hurt. Other people died, he wasn't even hurt. This man had a mission. And the mission was to do the right thing. But at the time, the people were so propagandized, they couldn't see it because they don't see the truth about anything.
Mhm.
They believe the lie, and they kick the truth down the sewer, and they kill the messenger. And that's what happens all the time. We're thoroughly disgusted with humanity. I wish I could see a bright light in humanity. I don't see it. Margie does. She sees a bright light. She thinks the things are going to change. I don't. I think they're going to get much worse because the people may be waking up slightly, but they're not doing a damn thing lawfully and legally and effectively to change it. So I've kind of washed my hands of them. Go ahead, Margie.
Well, let me put it this way. I do see the light in people. That's one of my gifts, if you will. I also see where they betray their own light by following the dictates of the powers that be. And as it goes back to every level of society and anything that's institutionally imposed, people are just, they're like lemmings. They just follow along. That's a mistake that we've made by giving our power away to the people that we believe are better than us, smarter, more authoritarian, divine right of kings, all that nonsense, which is total rubbish, designed to make us doubt the divinity that exists within us. So that's our first mistake. We have to wake up to that. And it doesn't happen overnight. There are people that are waking up. There are changes that are taking place, but they're subtle. They don't, hit you in the face, except in rare instances where somebody has a real epiphany. It would be wonderful if that could happen. But again, if you wait for something like that to happen on planet Earth to humanity, that goes back to the savior mentality, the magic bullet, whatever. I think that's a mistake. I think we have to do our own homework and bring our own selves up to speed with our relationship with the divine. If we could do that on a daily basis and be more focused on the best that exists within us, which is the spark of the divine, instead of all of the things that we do wrong or that we see wrong in the world, first of all, we would personally be happier, which is less food for the vampires. Secondarily, we would have a more closer relationship with our real creativity, not the phony stuff that we're supposed to do in school so we can pass their dumb tests, but the stuff that comes from our inner that makes us unique and different. And each and every one of us is unique and different. We don't value that enough anymore. And when we look back at history and we see how many people have been suppressed by this country, Jack was speaking of Hitler earlier, and I know that makes a lot of people go, ooh, Hitler, we're talking nice about Hitler. Well, Hitler made a lot of mistakes too. But remember that he was used by the dark forces because he was a charismatic leader. And they like to use people like that and then manipulate them to do their bit.
Well, they've always controlled both sides. That's the bottom line.
That's right. They control both sides of the equation, the war, whatever. And because his underlings were also working for the dark side, they worked against him as well. And I think a lot of the things that took place happened beyond even his own initiative and control. Okay, so looking at America now, there are people in this world who absolutely hate this country, and for good reason, because we're seen by a lot of other countries as the aggressor. And folks, we are. You might want to wave the flag and say, oh no, we only do that because we want to bring democracy and freedom to other people. That's rubbish. It's nonsense. And Americans have got to stop doing that. They have to stop waving the flag of war. I get so frustrated when I see people send things out, support our troops, blah, 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 and they're glorifying war with movies and all of this nonsense. Folks, there's nothing glorious about war.
No.
It's just
No, the freedom that they're talking about is the true definition of freedom. It means free to be dumb.
Free to be dumb. You got that right. Free to be dumb and free to be cannon fodder for these people who couldn't care less about any human being. See, the agenda on the planet that's really vile, which people have to wake up to see if they have any hope of recovering their divinity as well as rescuing humanity, is that the agenda being imposed by the powers that be on all levels in every institutional vein is anti-humanity. It's absolutely anti-human, okay? And there's a reason for that. And the reason is that the people behind the masks of the public figures that folks think are running the world are not human. They are not Earth humans. They don't care about people on Earth. They don't care about anything except their own selfish needs. And as soon as we realize that they see us as their personal property, we're just slaves on their ant farm, and we realize that we are unwittingly feeding them with our despair and our worries, as soon as we get that and we stop doing it, we consciously say, no, I'm not following it. That's the first step in the right direction, away from slavery and back to the freedom that our divine spark entitles us to. That's where we have to go. We have to think in terms of our divinity and not the suffering that we do on this planet as humanity. And Jack mentioned the spiritual planet. I want to clarify something. Don't for 1 second think that we're atheists, that we don't believe in the divine being, a source, because we do. What we're talking about are the fraudsters in the astral planes who deceive people into thinking that they're communicating with some special guide or an ascended master, or they're going into the tunnel of light and they're going to be taken to their family and loved one. Folks, that's a lie, okay? Yeah, there is a place to go to the source, but that's not it. That's a trap to get your soul and keep you coming back on a track which the other worldly people call reincarnation, okay?
Marty's referring to the death trap.
I'm referring to a death trap, and I'm referring to the philosophies and religions across the planet who believe that, karma is a good thing. We come here, we make mistakes, and we have to come back again, and we have to suffer the consequences of our mistakes and over and over and over. Well, okay. And maybe you could stretch it a little bit and think, well, there could be some truth to that, the laws of cause and effect. But, well, how many hundreds of thousands of millions of lifetimes does an entity have to have before he figures it out? Think about it. Then realize our memory is blank before we come back. How are we supposed to correct our behavior when we can't even remember what that behavior was? It's a trap, but we have to stop buying into the trap.
The idea is this, let's speak of the trap for a moment. First of all, if one is not responsible here, then he won't have the ability, in my opinion, this is strictly my opinion, I mentioned this last week, he won't have the ability to discern and understand what the death trap is, okay? Responsibility here is paramount. If you're not responsible here, the average guy, the average woman will go into the death trap and be reborn on the earth over and over and over again. The responsible entity, when he passes, will see various things. He could see family, he could see a loved one, or a wife, children, or friends, whatever it may be, and usually some type of compelling light. The idea is to focus on the opposite side of that light. In other words, turn around, turn your back on the light, turn the back on the family, because that's not really a family. It's simply an apparition. Okay, it's a hologram. And go to the source. Go to your spiritual source. The original being who created you.
The true mother and father.
No, beyond that.
Well, beyond it, right. Well, the force of energy, the pure.
Divine
The divine spiritual source
Yeah.
created.
Right, but it's
Okay.
male and female. That's my point, that the oneness, it's the wholeness.
oneness is all it is.
Yeah. It's the play of the one.
Yes, it's the one. And the one contains the two and everything else. That's very true.
Yeah.
But in order to get there, you have to think yourself there. You have to will yourself there. We'll go back to free will for just
Yeah,
a
but-
second. We all have free will, but we don't know how to exercise it because we've never been encouraged to understand what free will really
Right.
means.
You remind me of a quote of mine that goes like this: "Man was never inclined only towards the mere tangible realities, and he will always remain within his own adolescent state by his lack of true knowledge about his own true origin, since it is not possible for him to believe very long on that which has escaped his material senses. So it is then that wherever there is no clear vision, the people will always perish."
That's
That's
correct.
right. That's right. In
Well
truth,
stated.
of course, there is no death. But we might as well be in a living death, coming back to earth, cycle after cycle after cycle, and never growing beyond it, never being in touch with our true divine self and going back to our true spiritual parents, our real home. That's the trap that we have to break. And we can only do that for ourselves. Nobody can do it for us, guys. We have to do it for ourselves.
As I said in the beginning, this is strictly my opinion, but it's shared by other people. Marty shares it, and a few other people share it. There is a divine source God, realm, that created all of us and created everything. But it has nothing to do with this world. It has nothing to do with the solar system. Frankly, it has nothing to do with this particular universe. It's well beyond it. Okay? When we were sent out by that divinity, we were told to create whatever we wanted to create because we had the ability to create as Mother Father God created. And it's really not even Mother Father God, but let's use that for, for convenience.
Well, another term is the androgynous one.
Yes, and we were also told that we were responsible for our creations. So to be careful about what we did. And if we went too far, we had to correct it ourselves. In other words, the true divine was not going to interfere in the creation. Could the true divine interfere? Yes, it could if it wanted to. But it gave us that original warning at the very beginning. We were told that we were responsible and liable for that which we created. Therefore, if we created evil, we had to resolve evil. And it goes back to the original situation I mentioned before. Unless the people are responsible enough here on this planet now, not only in America, but in every country of the world, to resolve the evil structures and forces and governances and bankings in those countries and restore a just system, they'll be in that eternal karmic wheel trap forever. They'll never get out of here. The ones who are responsible here, who are at least trying to bring the truth to people, and hopefully being effective, at least in some aspects, I believe will be able to get beyond the death trap and go back to source. And that's our position from now on in. We're through with the political positions, we're through with the constitutional positions. That's it, because we're not getting anywhere, okay?
Yeah.
We people have won more cases than anyone else in the history of this country, okay? Anyone, any law firm, any organization, anything. But it's not going anywhere because the vast majority of people, virtually well over, well, let's put it this way, close to 100% of the people who won the cases get out of the movement as soon as they won the case, okay? They weren't concerned about the country. They weren't concerned about restoring constitutional governance to this nation. They were concerned about themselves. Now, there are a few exceptions to that. There's a fellow in Hawaii who is one exception, and there are some other exceptions too, okay? But very, very few. So all our work really has gone nowhere to help the country come back together as a constitutional republic. All our work was intended for that purpose, but it got turned by people into personal situations to resolve issues on their own. So we're finished with that. We're not doing that anymore. Our bent is spiritual from now on, and our bent is in writing we've got 2 books almost completed, and we've got another 4 or 5 in the hopper. So that's where we're trying to go now.
Yeah. Can you give out the titles of your books?
Not yet.
Okay.
They're rather interesting titles. I'd rather.
Right. Okay. Well, what about, at the beginning of the program, I wanted to ask a question and I didn't get to it. So maybe we can cap it off with this. Can you just give us an update on what that, because you went to Hawaii to try to help the Hawaiian nation out, the royal family. So can you give us a thumbnail of what that was all about and where we're at today with that?
That was back we made 2 trips there. One was, I think, 2010 and the other was 2011. And we met with Akahi, who is a direct descendant of the royal lineage. And there are several others who claim also to be in direct descent. We try to deal with him and help him. He's a very lovely man, very spiritual man, loving man, and a very sincere man who knows the history, obviously, who knows his family, and knows that the Hawaiian people got totally screwed by the United States of criminals called America, okay, or the United States of fraud. And we gave him positions, constitutionally based, that he could have used, if he wanted to possibly resurrect the nation. Unfortunately, the people surrounding him, some of whom pretended to be good, had other, let's say, agenda in mind, and it never got quite to that position. Do you want to pick up on it, baby?
It never got off the ground because there were too many chefs spoiling the broth by design. And anything that looked as though it would work, anything that we had a remote chance of actually cutting to the heart of the matter, was set aside. And it always comes down to,
For all of the benefit.
yes, who benefits? I just go in there, people know who benefits. And there were people that were close to Akahi who were in a position to benefit from keeping sort of the balls in the air but never letting them land. And that's essentially how things went. So we just said, okay, you know where we are. If you decide that you really want to get serious and you want to put all this other nonsense aside, let us know. We haven't had heard a word in a very long time, so we put that one to bed too with a lot of other things that we tried. You know, working on this level, on this planet, trying to work with people is very hard. It's like trying to cut the grass on a big football stadium using a nail clipper. Okay, it's not going to happen. You can't get there from here. So I think our best bet as humans is to start thinking on a broader basis. I mean, spiritually broader, beyond the earth, and getting back to our source energy, trying to go within, trying to learn some type of meditation, relaxation techniques that take us away from the dark side of this world and allow us to fade in the true light, not the phony light, but the true light that comes from the source of all it is, our Creator, the Great Spirit, whoever you choose to name this entity, this being, this one androgynous, incredibly powerful and wonderful entity that
Oh
we
yeah.
all share. We're all related at some very deep core.
Oh yeah.
And if we think that way, our world could be magically beautiful.
Yeah. In the Apocrypha, in the second book of Esdras, which is just a corruption of the word Ezra. They didn't want people to get the picture, so they give them another spelling, Esdras, but which is Ezra the high priest that was in Babylon. In his second book of Esdras out of Babylon, he said that if you could take, of course they named him as Yahweh. Some people call him Yahweh, but the great Spirit, the Great One. He said that if all of the stars of the cosmos had come together, that his power then would be 10,000 times greater than all of the stars of the universe brought together. Rather profound statement, huh?
Quite profound. Quite.
So the energy is infinite. There's no other way of putting it, you know.
Energy is infinite, but we're talking beyond that particular individual and beyond anything that is known on the earth in
Or
terms
named, put it that way.
of power beings.
Mhm.
For instance, the Bible is simply a rewrite of the Babylonian texts, nothing more than that.
Mhm.
The Jew priests know this, the rabbis, okay, the ones who are really aware, know that the Bible is full of nonsense. It's just a rewrite of the Babylonian text, and that the Elohim were the gods of Babylon. They weren't the angels; they were the gods of Babylon, who later became the gods of Egypt, the gods of Rome, the gods of Greece,
Right. Well,
etc.
right. Well, after they came back out of Babylon, the Babylonian Talmud came back with them. That's when they changed Yahweh to Adonai. All of these things had occurred. So a lot of negative influence. But the good news is there's a thread of truth within those writings, even though they have been corrupted by and controlled by priesthood. They've controlled all sacred writings basically throughout all cultures and all time, and that's one of the great mysteries.
That's why, from our point of view, we believe nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, we believe nothing.
Right.
And I mean it.
No, I don't use the word believe myself. I say it's about knowing, and
Yeah.
And there's a big difference.
Oh yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. There's a major difference between believing and knowing.
Yeah.
And we don't believe anything that man says, does, or writes.
Mhm.
Nothing.
Yeah.
If
Well-
we experience it ourselves, okay, and we've had
Mhm.
interaction with that phenomenon, whatever it may be, then we may come to believe it because we've experienced it. But other than that, we believe nothing from this world. We go beyond this world as much as we possibly can.
I hear you.
And we have nothing from this world as valid. And I mean that
Right.
across the board.
Got you. Well, we'll leave it at that. And do you have any contact information you want to give out?
Yes, although we're not doing the work anymore. We still supply our methods to people who are interested, but don't expect us to review your work, do your work, or anything of that nature. We'll speak to you over the phone if you want, but that's about the extent of it. The information we send is very simple, direct to the point. If you get the concept, the details become easy. The best website or the best email for us is takebackOurRights@yahoo.com, just as it sounds. TakebackOurRights@yahoo.com. And our website is citizensoftheamericanconstitution.net.
Citizensoftheamericanconstitution.net. Okay. Jack and Margie, thank you so much for all your dedication. And
Who does it to yours?
well, absolutely. Well, it's mutual. We'll look forward to having you back next Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time right here on the realpublicradio.net. Okay. So did you get your colostrum by any chance?
Yes, we did. Thank you,
Thank you
Jesse.
very much.
Thank
It
you
just
very much.
arrived
I'm gonna try
yesterday.
it.
Outstanding. Well, let me know how it works for you. Just take it according to the label. And we have friends right now having come back from different conditions that they couldn't fix. And so this may be the most powerful food on earth. All right. So,
We look forward.
okay. Love to hear back from you. We'll talk to you next week and
Okay.
all the best. Thank you. Bye.
Thank
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to a musical interlude. And when we get back, part 2 of the Forbidden History series. What they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here. You just heard from Jack and Margie Flynn, citizensoftheamericanconstitution.net. And I'm your host, Desert Owl, the bird who sees in the night. Love to hear from you. Don't forget you can contact us and reach out. Our phone number here is 608-566-7295, 608-566-7295. We do have a lead share program with our product line, and it is called Downline Direct. Okay, we put people under people, our listeners that get involved. We sponsor people under you. We put you on a 3x5 card, and you're part of the Master Force group. So feel free to check this out, won't you? We're going to be right back. Just give us about 2 minutes. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Forbidden History series. And we're going to be doing a read from the Arco Volume, a book review I did just a few days ago. And before we get there, though, with the report of Pilate to Caesar, I just want to do a book review. And it is on the Sacred Scriptures. And it is on the book called the Peshitta. The Peshitta is the Eastern version of our scriptures. It is the Aramaic scriptures, okay? And it is by George Lamsa. He came out of the foothills of Kurdistan, and they are the most primitive and ancient root of the original Christians from 2,000 years ago, still speaking at the time in 1933 when he wrote this English version of their scriptures. They still speak the original tongue of Yeshua the Mashiach. So it's a well, actually, when he did the translation of the Eastern text, they told him they couldn't publish it. It was too revolutionary, and therefore they said either we're going to redraft it for you or we're not going to publish it. So we let them redraft it, and so this was the best we could get from the East at the time. There are other translations now, like the Peshitta, the Peshitu, or Peshito, out of the Syriac, and that's a little slightly different by who is it, Moffat, I think, James Murdoch from the late 1800s, the Syriac version of the scriptures, strictly the New Testament. So anyway, but if you do the Google search for the Holy Bible by George Lamsa, the Peshitta. Peshitta means pure, simple, complete. That's basically what it means. But the script, the Syriac script that you see as examples in the introduction, is not the original Aramaic. That was supplanted by the Roman Empire. They used the very alphabet originally in the East. It was the Aramaic. It's what you find on your driver's license, just the more archaic form. And so there was a great switch out that had occurred, and I'll speak about it one day coming up on our broadcast. Okay, but it's the conspiracy of history. They're never done playing their tricks, I'm telling you. And we talked tonight about the word believe, the piracy of words. So let's talk about that word believe, because Jack and Margie had acknowledged the fact that they don't use that word, and neither do I, because believe on the surface, it's sort of like if you just looked at it from the natural inclination that it would provide, like, okay, like saying, okay, I think so, okay, sort of like that, right? And so I always knew there was something wrong with the word, and I ultimately said at one point, well, I don't believe anything. I deal with knowing. It's about knowing, and because it is possible to know, as Yeshua said, that there's nothing hidden that cannot be revealed. There's nothing in secret that cannot be seen. And so you can possibly know what it is you had conceived of or wanted to know. That Yeshua is a revealer. But the word believe, if you look it up in the Latin dictionary, I've got one from the early 1800s. It literally means to give little credit to something. Okay? To give little credit to something. I always saw in it believe, to belie. Okay? So there's nothing but a negative sense. I don't believe anything. I deal with the discovery of knowing. It is possible to know. And so that's one of the piracy of words, because we're using terms that they gave us and not terms that originated through us. I always say the things that you follow, are they the things that you have been told, or these things that have been revealed to you? Okay? That's the difference. So, Great Lies of History, AD, they always want to use after death. Well, the truth is, Yeshua, he only died and was dead for 3 days and 3 nights, but he is not dead any longer. He's alive, so it should be after he rose. Actually, after he rose. So again, one of the great lies of history. And it's an amazing world, isn't it, Mr. and Mrs. Smith? I'm telling you, it is an amazing world. And it's a world full of deception and full of contrast. And let me get some more light here. We're going to be doing this profound read. And I'm glad you tuned in. I hope you're telling your friends about the broadcast. Please hit the subscribe and the like button, because it does create an algorithm. The more likes we get, the more we get out there on the algorithm. And so you can help us out that way. So let me sit back here now in my armchair and share with you from the Archival volume. One of the greatest sagas that we've never been hearing. How come they don't read these things from the bullpits? And you only get it in the alternative stream. And that's the good news. It is coming your way right here. So here's the report of Pilate. To Tiberius Caesar, Emperor of Rome, noble sovereign, greeting. The tragic events of the last few days in my province have been of such a character that I will give the details in full as they occurred, as I should not be surprised if, in the course of time, they may change the very destiny of our nation. For it seems of late that all the gods have ceased to be favorable or propitious. I am almost ready to say, cursed be the day that I succeeded Valerius Felicis in the government of Judah. For since then my life has been one of continual uneasiness and distress. On my arrival at Jerusalem, I took possession of the praetorium and ordered a splendid feast to be prepared, to which I invited the Tetrarch of Galilee, with the high Amen priest and his officers. At the appointed hour, no guests appeared. This I considered an insult offered to my dignity and to the whole government which I represent. A few days after, the high Amen priest deigned to pay me a visit. His deportment was grave and deceitful. He pretended that his religion forbade him and his attendants to sit at the table of the Romans and to eat and offer libations with them. But this was only a sanctimonious seeming, for this very countenance betrayed his hypocrisy, although I thought it expedient to accept his excuse. From that moment, I was convinced that the conquered had declared themselves the enemy of the conquerors. And I would warn the Romans to beware of the high priests of this country, for they would betray their own mother to gain office and a luxurious living. It seems to me that of conquered cities, Jerusalem is the most difficult to govern. So turbulent are the people that I live in fear of a resurrection at any moment. I have not soldiers sufficient to suppress it. I had only 1 centurion and 100 men at my command. I requested a reinforcement from the prefect of Syria, who informed me that he had scarcely troops sufficient to defend his own province. An insatiate thirst for conquest to extend our empire beyond the means of defending it, I fear, will be the cause of the final overthrow of the whole government. I lived secluded from the masses, for I did not know what those priests might influence the rabble to do. Yet I endeavored to ascertain as far as I could the mind and standing of the people. Among the various rumors that came to my ears, there was one in particular that attracted my attention. A young man, it was said, had appeared in Galilee preaching with a noble unction, a new law in the name of God that had sent him. At first I was apprehensive that his design was to stir up the people against the Romans, but my fears were soon dispelled. Yeshua the Nazarene, or commonly known as Jesus of Nazareth, spoke rather as a friend of the Romans than of the Hebrews. One day, in passing by the place of Shiloh, where there was a great concourse of people, I observed in the center of the group a young man who was leaning against a tree, calmly addressing the multitude. I was told it was Yeshua, commonly known as Jesus. This I could easily have suspected, so great was the difference between him and those listening to him. His golden-colored hair and beard gave to his appearance a celestial aspect. He appeared to be about 30 years of age. Never have I seen a sweeter or more serene countenance. What a contrast between him and his listeners, with their black beards and tawny complexions. Unwilling to interrupt him by my presence, I continued my walk, but signified to my secretary to join the group and listen. My secretary's name is Manlius. He is the grandson of the chief of the conspirators who encamped in Etruria, waiting for Catiline. Manlius had been for a long time an inhabitant of Judah, and is well acquainted with the Hebrew tongue. He was devoted to me and worthy of my confidence. On entering the praetorium, I found Manlius, who related to me the words of Yeshua and pronounced at Shiloh. Never had I read in the works of the philosophers anything that can compare to the maxims of Yeshua, one of the rebels Hebrews, so numerous in Jerusalem, having asked Yeshua, is it lawful to give tribute to Caesar, to Caesar? And he replied, render to Caesar the things that are to Caesar, and unto Elohe, Yahweh, the things that are Yahweh's. It was on account of the wisdom of his breathings that I granted so much liberty to the Nazarene. For it was in my power to have him arrested and exiled to Pontus, but that would have been contrary to the justice which has always characterized the Roman government in all its dealings with men. This man was neither seditious nor rebellious. I extended to him my protection, unknown perhaps to himself. He was at liberty to act, to speak, to assemble and address the people, and to choose discipline, unrestrained by any praetorian mandate. And of course, discipline is disciple. I import the original thought within my reading, ladies and gentlemen. Should it ever happen, may the gods avert the omen, should it ever happen, I say that the religion of our forefathers will be supplanted by the religion of Yeshua. It would be to this noble toleration that Rome shall owe her premature death, while I, miserable wretch, will have been the instrument of what the Hebrews call providence and we call destiny. And I'm having a little bit difficulty with my voice right now, so we're going to wrap it up right here. And I'm going to pick it up tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen, right at this spot, and continue on the record of Pilate. Forgive me, but I'm just ramping up, getting back into broadcasting, and it takes a lot to put out this work, I guess, at my age, and I'm winding down in more ways than one. But I hope you've enjoyed the broadcast tonight. We're going to do then part 2, which will be symbols and symbolism. I hope you tell your friends about the broadcast. If you like what you hear, then hit our like button. If you want to hear some things you've never heard before, then give us a shout out, okay? And thanks for doing that. forget, if you want to know the future, then you need to look for the forbidden history. I'm Desert Owl, thanking you for tuning in. Good night. We'll be talking about the symbols that you see on the scroll, all the graphics you've been looking at. We're going to talk about them. You're probably wondering, okay, what's going on with all these pictures? But they all have meaning, and we're going to talk about the origin of these symbols. Did you subscribe? Well, please subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. Give us a thumbs up, and do tell your friends about the Forbidden History series. What they didn't want you to know, but we tell right here.